Now, one of the things as humans sometimes that we get is that we get a little bit of tunnel vision in our problem solving. And I get this personally. I get one way that I know how to do things and I really want to solve things and do things that way that I'm comfortable with. But often that misses out on other interesting ways of solving problems. And we can do interesting things to support getting outside of our comfort zone and learning new ways of approaching problems or new ways of critical thinking if we just expand our horizons in terms of ideas for how to tackle some challenge that we're working on. Now I'm going to give you an example of how we can support this with ChatGPT. I'm going to go in and I'm going to brainstorm different ideas to solve some problems. So I'm going to say I have some tape, glue, paper clips, and empty plastic bottles. So I'm going to tell it the resources available to me to solve the problem or techniques. Now give me 10 different possible ways for building a bridge that a fourth grader could stand on. And so I'm giving it, here are my constraints, here's the problem I want solved. And you can take this sort of basic pattern and you could go and apply it to all kinds of patterns. And now it comes back with different possible ideas. We could have a plastic bottle raft. Lay the bottles horizontally side by side to form the base of the bridge, secure them together tightly using tape, place layers of paper over the bottles for the walking surface using glue to adhere each layer. Maybe I like that idea, maybe I don't, but at least I've thought of something new. Paper roll pillars. This is interesting. Roll paper tightly to form long cylindrical pillars. Use glue and tape to secure and reinforce them. Arrange the pillars close together as supports and lay paper across them. That's another interesting idea. I could have tightly wrapped paper to create these sort of, almost like paper bricks or dowels or something that I could build with. Bottle cap support. Cut the bottom of the bottles to use as caps. Glue them together in a stack, creating pillars, so I can imagine stacking these ends of them together. Lay paper on top using paper clips to secure the edges. Now, a lot of these may not work, but the idea is I start thinking and visualizing different ways that I could take these materials and start doing things, and I may come up with a better way and hopefully I do come up with a better way that's not in any of these, but maybe some aspects of it are inspired by that. Now, in the real world, like if we have problems we want to solve, a lot of times we solve it one way, or maybe we go look it up in a book, or maybe we try to find other ways that people have done it, but this is a really quick way to get on tap different ideas that we might go and think about. And the key is we're thinking about them. We're trying to basically spark our own problem solving and creativity. We have paper clip mesh, interwoven bottle bridge, cross-braced plastic bottles, layered paper platform, bottle sandwich, all kinds of different ways. Now let's imagine that, okay, what about something else? Well, give me 5 different ways of calculating 8 divided by 3.75 that a fourth grader could use to estimate the answer if they haven't learned long division. So we might want to show them there's all kinds of different ways to think about it. So here we go, rounding. Round 3.75 to 4 because it's closer to 4 than 3. Now divide 8 by 4 and we get 2. So the estimate is 2. Subtraction. Start with 8 and keep subtracting 3.75 until you can't anymore and keep count. So 8 minus 3.75 is 4.25. 4.25 minus 3.75 is 0.5. This is 2 times, but with some remainder, the result is a bit over 2 times. So I told it they didn't know long division, but maybe they know subtraction with decimals. But you see what it's doing is now giving lots of other ideas, comparing to whole numbers, using halves, visual representation. And so it's coming through lots of different ideas, lots of different ways of thinking about the problem, potentially approaching it or solving it. And again, the goal here is not to solve the problem for us. It's to inspire our thinking, to help us look outside. And sometimes my son comes home and he starts talking about how he solves problems in math, and they're completely different than the way that I learned to do them. And it's both fascinating and completely shocking to me because, I grew up doing it this way. This is the way that I solved this problem. And he comes at home and he does it a totally different way, and it's exciting and fun. And we wanted to kind of create that experience. Another thing could be in thinking about games. Like, give me 5 fun games that 4th graders could play to decide the line order for going to lunch. The games need to be fun and motivate the students to stay in order and not skip each other. All the time I hear my son telling me, oh, this happened in the line. It was so unfair. And I thought, well, let's solve that problem. What are ways that we could solve that problem? And he gives a whole bunch of different ideas for how we could potentially solve the problem. I like this one down here at the bottom. Story sequence. Start a story with a sentence, once upon a time in a land far, far away. Each student continues the story with one sentence. After every student has contributed to the story, have them line up in the order they contributed. This not only determines their lunch line order, but also helps them remember the sequence of the story they collectively created. So if somebody gets out of order, the story is wrong. I love that. I think it's a kind of an interesting idea, and I could take it and evolve it. Or you can think about students going in and trying to learn things and helping them, support them, and showing them that they can also take ownership of thinking through ways of solving problems that they encounter. So I am a fourth grader struggling to remember to bring my homework folder into class each morning. Give me 4 really fun strategies that I could use to help myself remember. Now, I could do this myself in all kinds of things in my own life. I'm imagining it in fourth graders, my students at the university level, all these types of problem solving things are very helpful. Okay, treasure hunt. Every evening after you finish your homework, create a mini treasure hunt for yourself. Write down a clue and place it somewhere you'll definitely look in the morning, like next to your toothbrush or cereal bowl. This clue should lead you to another location, and after 2 or 3 clues, the last one will lead you to your homework folder. In the morning, enjoy the hunt and get your folder. So this might help them get it into the bag to get it to school. Now, there's a whole other problem of getting out of the bag into school, but there's all kinds of different ideas. And the key is to help, think about creative new ways of solving problems, ways that inspire us, and also then help us to, when we go into a new problem, have more tools in our toolbox that we can go and approach it with. But at the end of the day, it's not about using the tool to give us the solution. It's about using the tool to inspire us, to help us broaden our horizon, to help us not just have this tunnel vision of this is the one way we do things. We've talked about interesting examples, for example, at Vanderbilt in the makerspace of having an inventory of all the machines and tools and different things you could use to make something. And then when students come in, rather than just starting with, I'm going to make it this way because I know it, they instead say, well, give me 10 different ways I could manufacture this using the tools and materials that are available in the makerspace. So it's all about helping to inspire, thinking about how we could solve the problem, and then going deeper and saying, well, how do I compare this way to that way? What are the pros and cons, or which one might I want to select? And you need multiple examples to help understand and think through those things more critically.